Seven Footers crew, what is going on? We are back, Jarod and Jena. You know what it is. Episode 158, Jarod.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe
Mm-hmm.
it? Can
Man,
you
we
believe it? You put up with me for this long.
we have been doing this podcast for quite some time. This has got to be what, NBA season number 3, 4, something of that nature. It all blends together, right? Time is a flat circle. No, but it's back, Jenna. Media days, training camps, and Lord have mercy, it's like this league, like
Lord have mercy is right.
it just starts day one. Day one, we start.
Day one. And you know what? Side note, let me just say that I was telling someone today, I was like, I got to record the podcast, whatever. And I was talking about like the origin of this podcast. And
Mhm.
I was like, not that I did not have faith whatsoever, but I was just like, damn, like we are still doing this. Like Gerard and I still haven't like fist fought. Like it's amazing. But
Now you're saying that because you're insane and drive
oh
people
yeah.
crazy. Okay, just making sure.
Oh yeah, there is no doubt about it. Like the insanity is it's problematic. But no, for real, like we're still doing it and it's amazing because I was actually telling this person on a real note that the origin like was just so
Organic,
limited. Like
random, and like,
it was
yeah.
organic, random, and it was limited,
Hmm.
right? Like we were
Hmm.
just like, hey, let's just do
Hmm.
this and see how
Hmm.
long we can ride this wave. And here we
Right.
are, and it's
Here we
amazing,
are.
beautiful friendship, beautiful relationship, everything. But I will have a separate episode about this on my own, probably without Gerard's merit talking about this because he won't. He'll be like, I ain't messing with you. But yeah, we have to get into this because 2022-23
Ooh.
media day in the books, right? NBA training camps, they are underway. I mean, there are new friendships being developed, which we will talk about. There are new dynamics, new everything, new lineups. It's incredible. And the season is officially 3 weeks away, as we
Mhm.
have talked about.
Mhm.
October 18th, guys. We are so close. Can you just even, I can smell it. Like
Mhm.
the fresh basketball is everything. I'm ready. So let's get into some of our takeaways from Media Day,
Mhm.
which have been incredible because Media Day is the point where, again, the casual fan might not know that it is the fun day. It's the back to school
First day back
day.
at school.
We're all happy. Oh, our team is great. We're going to do everything awesome. We all get along. Right. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. This is the day that we answer the questions about narratives that may be
Mhm. Mhm.
troublesome,
Mhm.
but we sugarcoat things. But
Mhm.
we ain't going to
Mhm.
do that on this podcast, okay? Because we got to talk about it. We're going to dive in deep. All right, let's talk about some media day notes about the Lakers, okay? Real quick here, because again, today we're going to give you guys our Eastern Conference preview, and then the next episode we'll have our Western Conference preview, where we'll talk about this more in depth. But
Mhm.
just a few notes to take away. The Lakers, okay? Their infamous big three, and I say infamous because LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook, they played in an infamous, 29 games last season because of COVID injuries, everything that the Lakers dealt with that led to them not making the playoffs.
Mhm.
So then they had their little big three photo shoot, and a lot of
Mhm.
people were
Mhm.
chattering online about the chemistry not being there with Russ being
Mhm.
there and
Mhm.
people being like, move closer. And he was like, oh, okay, not really. So just give me your thoughts on that really quick before we dive into the new friendship, or I'm sorry, I should say the best friendship that is Russell Westbrook and Pat Beverly. I'm laughing because you never thought this would be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Lakers are what they are right now, right? Which is a sideshow in so many ways, and it's all about this sort of like, extracurricular activities. The reality of the matter is, based on some of the comments from the questions being asked to Russ and stuff being heard, it's like, Russ, do you think you're a starter or this, that, and the third? Look, here is the bottom line, Jenna. Like, the likelihood of Russ being on this team come the end of the season, not very high. Okay. Like, it's just not. I mean, you've got Pat Bev, you've got Kendrick Nunn, you've got, a bunch of other guys that they brought in here to be point guards, right? And it's just sort of like, you know, They want Russ to play defense, cut, shoot threes, like things that he has not demonstrated that he is willing to do thus far in his career. And if he wants to remain in the league, he's going to have to switch some things and do some things different. I just don't see this being a long-lasting thing. But as I said, when we talk about our Western Conference preview, we'll deep dive onto the Lakers more.
Totally. And yeah, those questions for Russ, definitely a little harsh for some opinions on the internet. But again, we'll get into that. But let's stay in the East because, again, we have our Eastern Conference preview. So a couple other notes from Media Day. Celtics. I mean, a lot of players speaking out for the first time, of course, after the Ime Udoka 1-year suspension was slapped down. And that was after he allegedly had a relationship with a Celtics staffer, Celtics female staffer. And then, of course, you guys may have seen the press conference that was held after that with Brad Stevens, who looks a little bit disgusted. And then, things like that. Again, players speaking out. I mean, we'll get into it in our preview, but anything glaring that stood out to you in the Celtics media day?
Not particularly, because look, the players, this is not their, like, they didn't do this, right? So what are they going to say? Like they're not the people involved. And it turns out that Ime had a relationship with a married staffer, on the Celtics. So she's married. Okay. So she's married, and he's in a long-term relationship with Nia Long, right? So both of them have significant others that they chose to, mess around on. Moralize that however you want, whatever. That is what that is. The question I keep going back to is, if it's something as simple as he coerced this woman into having an affair with him, and it verged on, well, it was consensual at first, and then she revoked consent, yet he forced her to continue. Why is he still the head coach of the team? Why is this even a year suspension? Why isn't he just fired immediately? Like, what are we actually doing here? There's still so much about this, Jenna, that has not come out yet, right?
Right.
And I don't know if it will come out, okay? There are rumors that this woman, not only is she married, that she is married to someone within the Celtics organization. And this is the reason why we're having this situation, right? And so it's very complicated and messy and, just bad all around.
Yeah, definitely messy. And again, we will get into that and how it could impact the team when we talk about our Eastern Conference preview. But again, moving on, quick news notes from the media day here. The Nets. I mean, you were there.
I was.
Up close and personal. You saw the guys. You saw everything. And hey, listen, the thing I will say is, and again, we'll get into it, but the thing I will say is, the Nets seem like, after all of this, let's call it what it is, BS and craziness, they seem like they actually might have it together this season. They seem like they might. So leave us on a cliffhanger here before we get back to them.
Well, here's the reality, Jenna. And I, shout out to True Hoop, the other work that I do about basketball on our podcast, Bringing In with Henry today. Henry said something interesting, and it's kind of true. Well, at least it's all out in the open now, right? So, like, everything's out there. There's where this stuff tends to get bad is when teams deny and cover up, and it festers and boils. Well,
yeah.
Everything's out there now. Yep, Kevin did request a trade. Yep, he did rescind it. Yes, he requested the trade the day after Kyrie opted into his contract. So that was awkward. Yeah, like, it's all out there, right? I mean, this is what it is. And there were tense moments and awkwardness and all of that. But it's there, and it's out there right now. On paper, Jenna, this team should be phenomenal.
Amen.
Ben Simmons complements everything that this team needs and wants, and what their two best players do. We'll get into it in our over-unders. The question is, will they be able to coalesce? And as the storms of the NBA season come, because it's the NBA. It's a long regular season. We know storms are coming. That's just how this league is. Will this team have the resolve to stick together when the storm comes? We shall see.
Big facts.
We shall see.
Yep. Big questions, big facts right there. And we'll get back to it. But another glaring thing from Media Day, the Philadelphia 76ers. James Harden. Listen, I'm going to be the first to call myself out. We've been trolling him forever about looking a little not lean. And he showed up to Media Day looking the opposite. And he said that he had lost 100 pounds and to tweet that. So, hey, if it's in the Twitterverse, to Kevin Durant, that would be real stuff. So, hey, but again, his former teammate doesn't matter here because we're talking about the 76ers. He said he lost 100
I
pounds.
mean, he's not serious. He didn't lose 100 pounds. He's just full of shit. Look, I think his thing is he's coming to camp in shape this year, unlike last year.
And he looks in shape. Yeah.
Great. But being in shape wasn't his issue last year, right? Like, okay, when he got into shape, the things that were still there were still a problem, i.e., bro, you've lost that quick first step, right? All those things that made you an elite, I mean, in my opinion, probably should have won more than one MVP that has you as the best player in the world for that stretch.
Yeah.
You don't got those things anymore. So how are you going to compensate for that now? And we'll see. We'll see what it looks like in Philly.
True. I mean, hey, we saw so many good things from Media Day, including, new faces, different places. Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland, Zion Williamson walked out looking awesome.
He looks
and
jacked.
in shape, should I say, instead of awesome. Yeah. So, we've all been waiting for that one, all that stuff with the internet trying to troll. Speaking of trolling, Jimmy Butler, his hair.
Extensions. I mean, what extensions?
These are not extensions, if you know what I mean. Like, everybody caught that sound bite. I can't even just embarrass myself like that.
All good.
Bunch of stuff. Andre Iguodala back with the Warriors. Again, we'll tell you guys about that in our Western Conference preview. So let's dive into things. I mean, we have so much stuff happening here in the Eastern Conference. And again, like I said in the top of the episode, we'll be doing our Eastern Conference preview with you guys now for the rest of the episode. We're going to talk about the over-under win total for each team. And then Jarod's going to give his picks because y'all know Jarod stays out here giving y'all the facts. And when I talk about the facts, he's going to make you guys some money this season. Again, you guys know we're with the Props Network. We have our gambling segment every Tuesday for our TNT games. And he's going to give you guys the winners. You know how much money Jarod won some people last season?
Lots of money. Oh, shout out to our boy Dexter Henry's watching us right now. Great that the 7-footers back. Knicks to win the 2023 title. Stop it, Dexter.
Oh,
Put down the weed, my guy. Come on, stop it. that was
as Stephen A. Smith would say.
That was my Stephen A. No, look, the Knicks.
God.
We're going to get to the Knicks and their over-under predictions. Oh, Dex, I don't know, buddy.
We'll get there. Shout out to Dex again. Covered Media Day for the Knicks with the New York Post.
Wait, they didn't even call it Media Day. They said Knicks Content Day. What is happening?
Yo, don't even get me.
What are we even doing right now?
Don't even get me started. The hard part for me started when, again, side note, when they signed Jalen Brunson and they had the I don't even know what it was, a press conference. It wasn't even a press conference. Like, it was like introducing him, but they didn't let anyone do anything or speak. Like, it was like the media didn't exist. So, again, some type of feelings about that. But we'll get there. Don't you worry. You won't hear the last of Jalen Brunson's name. So, let's start out here with the Nets. Because I say that because Jarod, you were there, you were up close and personal, so I'm going to give you the floor. Like, tell us what the vibes were, tell us what the feelings were before I dive into the questions and things that I have about, KD addressing his trade request, Kyrie saying it was awkward hearing about it, Ben Simmons saying he feels great. So what were the overall vibes at this media day? Because that was the most anticipated, in my opinion.
I mean, to be quite honest, they seem like, again, things that were put out there. So everyone knows what they want to tell us, right? But no one ducked from the fact that, I requested a trade. Kyrie said he tried to get out of here too. Didn't work. What it seems like, Jenna, is that Nets owner-governor Joe Tsai has taken back control of his team. He is calling the shots now, not so much, the superstars. The superstars still have input, but we're not bending to your every whim. And if y'all don't like it, KD, you under contract for 4 years. So, good luck. And Kyrie, your contract's about to be up soon, my guy. So, and then when it's up, we're not going to give you another contract. So Good luck finding somebody out there who's willing to pay you, given what your track record has been over the last few years. So I think that's kind of where the team has kind of set itself up. Again, they're not strictly like our way or the highway. They're like, look, you guys get input, but this ain't going to be you two running ruckshot over the organization, whatever you want to do. And the reason why that is because this is Kevin Durant at age 34, right? You're on the last stages of your career, still playing elite all NBA basketball, but this ain't 27, 28-year-old Kevin Durant. If it were 27, 28-year-old Kevin Durant, the organization might have done something differently. But the fact that they're like, nope, Sean Marks is back, Steve Nash is back. Deal with it, my guy. Well, they're going to have to deal with it, right? This is the reality of the situation.
Very interesting. I will say really quick before we dive into everything, and feel free to hold this question until the end if you want. But in my opinion, after hearing everything from Media Day, and I mean Kevin saying, basically voicing, that he knows his value. He knew he'd be back in Brooklyn. You know, and Kyrie saying, it was awkward hearing Katie's trade request first, but knowing that he wanted the best for him and that they've all had honest conversations in Brooklyn and this and that. And Ben Simmons is back and back from the back and he feels great. I get it. But to me, does it ever give you a hint that Steve Nash is the problem?
Look.
Just a question.
Yeah, no.
Trying to light a fire.
I think that's fair. Look, Steve Nash skipped a lot of steps, right? And it's funny because Kevin Durant mentioned, I thought we skipped some steps.
And you talked about that.
Right? He, no head coaching experience prior. All of a sudden, he's managing a team with two of the most, larger personalities in the NBA in Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Okay. Kyrie out here after last season talking about, Joe, Kevin, and I are going to sit down and it's like, bro, no. Here's how the org chart works, my dude. Joe Tsai at the top of the org chart. It's his shit. If he wants to send your ass somewhere else, he can get rid of that dude, right? If he's not going to pay you, which he did not, right, because of your vaccine status, all the other things, hey, he's the boss, okay? Then is where it gets sort of like murky. The org chart underneath that is kind of flat, okay? Kevin, Kyrie, Sean, and Steve are essentially on the same level, okay? It's funny because Sean Marks said at Media Day yesterday, I'm not Kevin's boss. We're partners, okay? And Kevin said, I don't go in the GM's offices and demand anything. Yeah, but you do. Because you demanded your boy Deandre Jordan come with you and that Jarrett Allen get traded so that you get James Harden, who's no longer on the team, by the way. You wanted Kenny Atkinson out of here, right? All these things were things that you all wanted.
Yeah.
So whether you went into the GM and directly asked for it or you asked for it through your intermediary, Rich Kleiman, it don't matter. You put those vibes out there and those things got done. And the organization now, I think, is like, look, we're not doing that anymore. We will consult you. We will hear what your opinions are. But ultimately, as Joe Tsai tweeted out, we're going to do what's best for the Nets. And if that means, now we believe in this and we're rolling here, we're doing that. And I think that's the way to do it. Look, Jenna, you know me. I am pro player. Someone like Kevin Durant has earned the right to have input in team decisions. But it is just that, input. You don't get to also be the shadow GM and the team CEO. No. And if that's what you want to do, you have to understand what that entails and be willing to do all of the heavy work, because that job of putting a team together, as we see from other GMs around the league, is not easy. It's not as simple as, oh, yeah, I want Kyrie because he's so electric, his handles. And as my boss Henry Abbott said, when you get Kyrie, you're not just getting Kyrie's handles. You're getting everything that comes with Kyrie. And Durant said something interesting. I want people to be held accountable. And I thought that was interesting because I was like, well, whom are you speaking about specifically is not being held accountable? And I thought the timing of everything was also interesting. Kyrie opts in. Next day, Kevin Durant, I want out. Trade me. That's odd timing to me. And Kyrie said, I agree. This was awkward, right? Do you want your boy Kyrie to be held accountable? Because Kyrie said, my whole love of the game was being questioned. It's like, but Kyrie, of course we're going to question it. Vaccine mandate aside, taking that away. What he seems to conveniently forget is, my dude, the year before, when there was no vaccine mandate, you went AWOL for 10 days in the middle of the season because you needed time off. Yo, my guy, that is not showing commitment to the team. It's just, right? It's just not.
Yeah.
So are you in this or are you not in this? We talked, if your goal is to win a championship, first of all, and they know this, winning a championship is fucking hard, man. It's not easy to win a championship. You need everybody in the boat rowing in the same direction. Bro, you ain't even in the boat half the time. So of course we're going to question your commitment. You ain't even here. The in, the out. It's like, no, man. So now, guess what? No vaccine mandate this year. Nothing. Let me ask you a question, Jenna.
Oh.
Assuming there is no injury, do you expect Kyrie to show up to work and to play all the time? Again, barring no injury.
Barring no injury. And
so assuming he's healthy.
Yeah, he's healthy. Vaccine mandate is,
is gone.
Is what it is. It's gone. I do.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes. I expect you to show up, and I expect him to show up. And you know what? Take my word for it. If I am wrong and I predict this wrong, throw it in my face, because that's when I will burn my Kyrie Cleveland shirts. And you know I've been in this.
That's it. Kyrie's your guy. Well, here's the thing. He's going to have to play good soldier because this is a contract year.
He has to.
When this year is up, there's no contract on the table. So he's going to have to show that he's committed, right? And again, if you are a GM, whether you're Sean Marks or any of the 29 GMs out there who will have cap space to potentially sign him as a free agent, do you think, okay, am I willing to give 4 years and supermax money to this dude who has proven over the last few years, something comes up, he may go AWOL. Now, here's the thing. I'm all cool if Kyrie wants to be on a maintenance situation where it's like, I don't want to play 82 games. Like, I want to, because, for my health and okay, guess what?
Yeah.
The Spurs did that with Duncan and Pop and Duncan and Ginobili and all those guys. But we're going to work that out ahead of time into your contract. These are at beginning of the season. This is what it is. Oh, you want to miss the back-to-back? Okay. You're not going to be off doing whatever. We expect you to be with the team, whatever you work out to make sure, and you are held to these parameters. If you do not do those things, when we have a problem, right? Listen, teams work out all different kinds of situations, and I'm down with that. But you have to show a commitment to the organization. And again, the unwillingness to get vaccinated, that to me shows that you are not willing to commit to the organization, because there are plenty of other guys in the locker room who were unsure about it, but they were like, you know what? This is what I got to do to play. I'm letting my teammates down. If I don't, I'm going to be here and do this thing. You chose not to. Okay. Again, I go back to the year before. No vaccine mandates existed. You just literally went AWOL on PTO for 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are we talking about here? It was an unexcused absence. You just literally disappeared for 10 days.
No, facts. I mean, and the thing is, here's the thing. I expect him to show up. I do. But, I mean, at the same time, if he does not, apologies for my noises, but if he does not, there's no excuses left at this point. Do not give him the supermax. Do not sign him to anything. This is your last chance. Like you said, it's a contract year. So do what you got to do. But at this point, no. I don't care how good you are, how good your handles are. If you're going to come with 10,000 headaches, I'll find some, lower shelf point guard or a guard that's going to
show up every day.
Yeah, exactly. 29 games last season, fam. Mm-hmm. Let's just remember that. But, before I go on a rant, let me ask you about, because you were there, like I said, the vibes around Ben Simmons. Now, listen, what I've heard, what I've seen on Twitter, he was happy-go-lucky. He felt good. He looked good. He was in good spirits. He was shooting threes in a practice setting. Hello. So what was the vibe? What was going on?
So it's funny. Those of you who probably remember, Ben Simmons was recently a guest on JJ Redick's podcast, The Old Man and the Three.
Yes.
And there was a stark difference between his tone on that conference, on that podcast, than at media day. Yeah. And I say all that to say, On the podcast with JJ Redick, there's a level of safety and comfort he feels because JJ is part of the
Yes.
brotherhood of NBA players. He's not going to try to sell me out or misconstrue my words or whatever. So he was open and free in talking. It wasn't that he wasn't open and free at media day. He was, but you could tell he wanted to get through his answers and get off the stage as quickly as possible and not give much. Okay,
Yeah.
that's number one. Number two, I believe he is healthy and he's looking great. He's feeling great. He said that, and he's looked good in practice. Today, he is excited about playing with this team because, given his skill set and the skill set of everybody else, I mean, it is a perfect complement. Jenna, if the NBA season was played in a vacuum, which of course we know it's not, this team should win 57, 60 games. Like, they are that good, like that. But
That's the thing.
as you know, NBA season not played in a vacuum. So, as I mentioned, the storm's coming, things are happening. Will this team be able to stay together? We'll find out. He's the perfect complement to KD and Kyrie. Here's what he needs, though. He needs, and shout out to my guy, Coach Thorpe, royal jelly. And Coach Thorpe talks about royal jelly. If anybody knows about royal jelly, that is what the queen bees secrete on all the larvae, right, that they have, right? And that's like, it's the good stuff that like produces like the next, that's, and in basketball terms, he needs guys to love him up, have his back, support him, and help him, right? It's this NBA, and it's very hard for Jenna because the average and the casual fan, not us, but it's very hard for the average person to sympathize with millionaire athletes, right?
Yeah.
Because the first thing to think about is, well, you're rich, go all that money you have. And it's like, okay, that fair, right? But just because you're rich does not mean you don't have problems. Now, they don't have paying their mortgage problems like maybe regular people have, and that's a big stress and a big concern. But they also operate in a world where they never know what if any interaction with another human being is genuine or not. Does this person actually want to be my friend? Or does this person only want to hang out with me because of who I am, what I can give them access to, and what type of, money and riches they can get from me, right? That is a difficult way to go through life, right? Is to have every time you meet somebody, all right, is this dude legit or is this person legit or are they just trying to scam? Or that sounds like a very poor existence to live, okay? And so these guys, especially someone like Ben, in that organization, he needs to know the team and my teammates, they support me and they've got my back. There are genuine relationships I can build within here. Will that happen? We will see. Because I'm telling you, Jenna, if he feels supported in a way he did not feel in Philadelphia, which was clear, right? Because we saw Joel Embiid and Doc Rivers threw him under the bus, right? At the end of that series. If he feels supported here, that's going to bring out the best version of himself. If he is the best version of himself, this team's going to be incredible. If not, well.
Facts. I mean, listen, my hot take, which are never really the hottest takes ever, but my hot take would be that, you know what? I mean, listen, I say this because I was talking to Dappa before this, and telling him, what we're going to talk about because his team is the Nets. And I was like, well, Jarod was at, media day, whatever. So, and I told him I was going to ask you this question, which I kind of already have, and you've already kind of answered, but realistically, like, they have everything that they need right now. They do. Everything should be or seems to be clicking right now. And again, media day, everybody's all smiles. We're all getting along. We're all best friends. We're all going to win the championship. But it seems like everything should be clicking for this team. And hey, I hope that this is the season that, and again, let me preface this, that the Nets are not my team.
Right.
However, I do hope that this is the season that Ben Simmons gets to prove himself and kind of, not prove people wrong, because he said,
but sure, use that
about narratives and stuff like that.
But prove the doubters wrong.
But prove them wrong. I mean, listen, like, let's not sugarcoat it. You've been shit on up and down the East Coast. I mean, it is what it is. But I hope this is his season. I really do. I think that this is, it's his time. And I really hope it is because again, and as we roll into this, I mean, talking about their over under
Mhm.
minus 50.5, tell me what your prediction is because your girl don't do the math. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So Vegas has set the line for the team's total wins this season at 50.5. I'm going to go slightly over. Look,
I agree.
because even if things go bad, this team, like you're talking about Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, Joe Harris, Nick Claxton, Royce O'Neal, Patty Mills, Seth Curry. I mean, Day'Ron Sharp, like
How
TJ
dare
Warren,
us not
Markieff
mention,
Morris. I mean,
not to cut you off, but how dare us not mention already the power that they have returning in Seth Curry. And now
yes,
you have the additions, of course, in TJ
right,
Warren and Royce on the defensive end
right.
too, and Joe Harris coming back with that
Markieff
shooting.
Morris. Like, I mean, Jenna, they can throw out a lineup with, let's say they want to go small. Okay. Simmons at the 5, KD at the 4.
Facts. Yep.
You can go Joe Harris at the 3, Royce O'Neal at 2, Kyrie Irving at 1. Everybody
Yep.
on the floor, except for Ben Simmons, is a 38% or higher career 3-point shooter. Ben Simmons, by the way, for the last, I want to say 5 seasons, has led the league in 3-point shots created. You run pick and roll with that dude, and he's coming down the lane. Who you helping off of? You got 3-point shooters everywhere. You're not helping off anybody because these guys will knock down open threes, right? And Ben can. It's funny on the Old Man in the Three podcast. JJ Redick said this, and this was when JJ and Ben were teammates in Philly. That was early in Ben's career, and JJ was telling a story about in practice. He's like, Ben, like, yo, like, how'd you make that pass? Like, catching me over them three. I was crazy. He's like, I'm 6'10". I can make any pass out there, and that's the reality of it. Like, everybody gets caught up in what he doesn't do, which is shoot. As I've said a million times before, he is elite at everything else that you need to do on a basketball court. Elite, not average, not above average, not good, elite. Like,
Yeah.
so on a team that already has enough shooting and scoring, I don't need you to do that. Do all the things you are elite at.
Yeah.
And again, if this team can find a way to coalesce, and if in year, whatever this is for Durant, 15, 14, if he can emerge as a vocal leader, and that's not his game, but if he can emerge as that kind of person, and with Patty Mills there and Markieff Morris, if you can bring guys together, Jenna, this team should be excellent. They are so good. They're so good. But again, we shall see. But I'm going to go with slightly over. I say they win maybe 51, 52 games this year.
I agree with that. I think that's extremely fair. So, I mean, again, like I said, I think all things on paper are clicking for them. So we shall see. That's going to be an interesting one. And I can't wait. I'm so glad you're back in the mix, back in the locker room. And again, so glad that the NBA has went back to this kind of pre-COVID protocol adjustment there. So really glad to see that we're moving toward, old school, I guess, coverage.
Something like
I
that.
don't know, whatever we're calling
Something
it.
like whatever we're calling it.
All right, staying in the Eastern Conference again. This is our Eastern Conference preview. Let's talk about the Celtics again up there. And again, I wrote the show rundown in hopefully, the list that the teams are obviously much better to the worst. The Magic being the last on that list. So Magic fans, don't hold your breath on this one. But let's talk about Boston because a lot of stuff going on there. Again, sensitive topics, of course, with the suspension of Ime Udoka, head coach, for the entirety of this coming season. And, a lot of stuff there. And again, props really quick, if I don't get to say it at any other point during this conversation, of the Celtics female team reporter coming out and saying, speaking out for the women of the organization,
for sure.
giving them all of the credit and flowers that they deserve, that they worked so hard to be there. Because again, I don't know if you guys saw it, but internet sleuths out there tried to, throw out their names
Right.
and the very few names and very few photos of the females that work in the Celtics organization, trying to tie them to this Ime Udoka scandal. But again, talking about the suspension, talking about the team, with all of this, and again, talking about from a basketball standpoint, with Ime Udoka not being there, taking them nearly to the promised land last season, how will this impact the team? We're at a 53.5 over
Over under.
under rating there. So what
I
are we
mean,
thinking?
Jenna, they started the season plus 500 as the favorites to win the NBA championship. This is gonna
Same stars returning.
it's the same team, and they actually got better because they have Malcolm Brogdon as a point guard. Not only do they have the Ime Udoka situation, Robert Williams, Time Lord, Robert Williams III, is going to be out for 8 to 12 weeks. So that's we're going to have 3 months. That's going to hurt
And he
them.
was dealing with that last season.
Yeah,
They decided to take care of it now.
And well, I mean, what happened was that he needed another procedure because he ended up hurting it more in the playoffs. That's gonna impact their defense big time for sure. Remember, the Celtics turned it on and were the number 1 defense in adjusted defensive rating last year. That is a big piece not to have. That's going to put more pressure on Al Horford. I just, at some point, look, they're going to do the whole rally behind and galvanize. Nobody believes in us. Like, all that's going to happen. But at some point, this is going to affect them. And they're going to either come out of the gate, maybe a little slow, 500-ish, or something's going to happen. And for that reason, Jenna, I'm going to pick them to go slightly under. They're still going to be a very good team, but, I may have thought they were going to win 55, 56 games before all this stuff happened. Now I'm going to go slightly under.
Real quick question on the Celtics. What do you think about Jason Tatum? Just what kind of season do you think he's going to have? Do you think we're going to see a progression or a regression? I only ask this because a lot of people talk about him in that sense. And again, still young, leader of a team, but I feel like he's a little bit unpredictable in that way.
Well, so Tatum was an All-NBA first teamer last year, and I think he'll do that again. Or be in the All-NBA mix. He was hurt last year, and that lengthy, and players don't like to make excuses, but it is what it is. Like, he was hurt. And that impacted him. It happened at the worst time, of course, in the finals, and you don't know if you're ever going to make it back. So yeah, that's all terrible. But I believe that he will come out and have a strong season again this year, and he's going to need to, right? Because not having Time Lord is going to matter. So he's going to have to play that elite two-way defense we saw him play early in the postseason. He's going to have to dial that up and play that way in the regular season as well. Him and Jaylen Brown, right? They're both going to need that. And, as I said, it's going to be tough for them. That they're gonna hit a place where they're gonna struggle a bit. Again, we talk about it. It's the NBA season. The storm is coming for every team. Well, for Boston, the storm came before the season even began, right? So they're already starting with the storm brewing within their walls. So how do they manage? How do they deal with it? And remember, Jenna, when you play late into June, your offseason's shorter, right? So they're coming off that run into the finals. Like, it's a lot. So again, because of all those factors, I'm going to go slight under for them.
Okay. I'm not mad at it. Let's move on to the Bucks, because this is another interesting one, because I feel like this run specifically this season is going to determine everything moving forward for them. And I say that because, again, are we going to run it back? You have the addition in Joe Ingles. I mean, you have Giannis being Giannis. Again, nothing holding him back. No injuries, knock on all the wood in America and beyond. But, I mean, what do you see out of the Bucks this season? I feel like, and we've said this last season too, that people sleep on the Bucks. They're very quiet on the Bucks. I don't know if Milwaukee's just not where y'all want a vacation. I don't know what it is, but again, they have that 52.5
over
under. So not too far from the Celtics, but still, what are your thoughts? Because I think this is another interesting one. Are they going to run it back, or is this going to be a sleeper?
So here's the interesting thing about Milwaukee. Chris Middleton will not be on the floor to start the year, right? He's going to miss the beginning of the season. That's a problem, right? Because without him even without him last year, they took the Celtics to 7 games, right? So Giannis is still Giannis. He's still arguably the best player in the world. They still have Drew Holiday. an all NBA level player, always ranks high in metrics. They have Brook Lopez back and healthy. They may want to come back in and kind of reestablish themselves as the class of the East again. They may not race out to 60 wins because, the regular season in that way doesn't matter. But I could see them coming in slightly ahead, going 53, 54 wins, just a little bit ahead. And if Boston's going to falter and they have a chance to grab that one seed, if that's where they are, right, or against Brooklyn, look, they're going to want home court advantage, right? All that stuff matters. So I think Milwaukee, I go slight over. Again, Giannis is going to play hard on both ends. Barring injury, there's no reason this team should not win 53 games.
All right. I agree with you. I mean, there's not many times I disagree with you. May I reiterate, if you are just joining this season, Jarod is, I always say this, and I hate to give him his goddamn flowers, but he's one of the most intelligent basketball minds I have ever come across. And I always say this on past seasons. Again, we're on episode 158, but this man is going to be a GM one day. I know it. I just know it.
From your lips to God's ears. Hey, teams, let me know, man. I got some ideas on how we can make things happen.
I know it. I love it. All right. Let's talk about the red hot Miami Heat. We take a dip here in the over-under ratings at 48.5. But, I mean, hey, you got Jimmy Butler. You got the dreads. They are not extensions. So, what's going on here? You got Udonis his last season. So he says they got him a cake at media day, the whole vibe. But what do we think about this team? Because, again, I say this because the Heat, they always surprise us. Again, I feel like people sleep on them a lot, but they got that grit. I mean, everybody knows the Heat do not give up. I mean, I just watched Dwayne Wade's best plays, so I'm on a Heat vibe.
You're loving the Heat right now.
Oh, on my way home from vacation, that was one of the things on the United screens. It was like Dwayne Wade's best plays. I was like, let's go. Oh, my God. I was reliving all the championships with LeBron. Oh, LeBron, love you.
I mean, as long as Jimmy Butler is Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry's doing his thing. Like Kyle, I like this team. Bam Adebayo. I think for them to make that next step forward, Bam's going to have to improve his offensive game. He's going to have to consistently knock down that 15 to 18-foot jump shot, right, and have that move where he goes to the basket and become an offensive weapon for them, more so than he is right now. Tyler Hero is going to have to continue to make strides on the defensive end. We know what he can do offensively. Victor Oladipo, I think, is an interesting piece for them, right? Like, off the bench, right? What is he? And can he recapture that all-NBA third-team level play? Caleb Martin. They have a lot of great young people. Nikola Jovic. They have a lot of interesting young talent there. The question is, can they level up, right? Because the East has gotten better. You're not going to think about, like, does the team outperform their over-under expectations, whatever. Well, you can't have all 8 teams win 55 games, right? The losses got to come somewhere. And so, I would say the best thing you can hope for in the Eastern Conference in terms of, okay, we know, like, this is like an easy night or a guaranteed win. Indiana, maybe Charlotte, maybe the Wizards. I mean, right? Teams that are, like, really poor. I just, Detroit's going to be a lot better. That's not going to be a cakewalk game. Like, all right, we're heading to Detroit. We're going to bust their ass. Like, I don't think so. And Orlando, look, we'll get to them later, but Wagner had an amazing Eurobasket that just concluded, and they got some nice young talent there. That may not be a pushover game either, right? They're going to be young and frisky. So it's going to be tough to find wins in this conference. So for the Miami Heat, they're over under 48.5. I'm going to go push there. I could see them coming in right at 48 wins this year.
All right. Well, with that, my only question with the Heat before we move on, why don't people believe in Tyler Hero? Why?
I don't think he doesn't believe. It's more like, so most people, right, in the NBA, they're not really good at everything. It's like when you have them on the floor, it's at the expense of something else, right? It's like, okay, they're elite offensively, but I'm giving up something on defense. It's only people like, your best of your best. It's your Giannis's, your Nikola Jokic, Steph, LeBron, KD, these guys who you're like, they got to be on the floor at all times because they do everything on both ends of the floor, right? Okay. And even in Steph's case, right? Steph is a plus defender. He's not all NBA, but he's not a turnstile, right? Like he knows where to be, smart team defender, all that stuff. But with Tyler Hero, you give up something defensively, right? Often getting lost on screens, different things like that. And in the playoffs, where teams hunt mismatches, this is why people are quote unquote down on him. But he's electric offensively. I mean, he's phenomenal, a hell of a player, and that's why the Heat love him, But just again, you don't got to be an all NBA defender. Nobody needs that. Just don't be a turnstile. Be a smart team defender. Be in the right spot, right? Offer some resistance. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Be a net. Even if he's net neutral on defense, that's fine. We'll take that. We'll take it.
All right. Let's talk about this Philadelphia 76ers because up on the Heat with that 50.5 over-under. But what's going on with the Sixers? Again, I feel like we said this last season on the podcast. They were just one piece, one something away from really contending and pushing it to the next level. And again, I feel like we talk about this with James Harden, that he just can't get past that 1 point in the postseason. So again, I mean, apparently coming back 100 pounds lighter up in this season. So what we doing in Philly? We got the addition of PJ Tucker on the defensive end from the Heat there. So what are you thinking in Philly? What's cooking there?
Look, Joel Embiid, if we're not for Nikola Jokic, would have probably won MVP last year. And
yeah,
you don't know how much longer you have of peak Joel, right? And because he has an injury history.
Facts.
Joel is all world on both ends of the floor. James Harden is still good enough on that end of the floor, okay? He's not producing at all NBA level, but Jenna, he's still producing at all-star level. I'm looking at Dunks and Threes estimated plus minus, which is my favorite all-in-one metric. And James Harden was a plus 3.8 in estimated plus minus, which means that when he is on the floor relative to competition, the Philadelphia 76ers outscore their opponents by almost 4 points per possession. Jenna, that is still in the 95th percentile in the NBA. So he's still a very good player. He's just not what he once was when he was winning MVPs, right? And finishing second. He's not the best or number 2 in EPM, right? Okay. Still a very good shooter, right? Can he consistently knock down threes or get that shooting percentage back up on the three-point ball a little bit? He's never been a great defender. Can you not be a turnstile? Can you be in the right spot, right? Can you be a good team defender? Tyrese Maxey is excellent and getting better every single year. I love what Maxey's doing. Obviously, the Sixers love him. That's why he's still on the team. Matisse Thybulle, have you developed a consistent jumper? Because if Matisse Thybulle can at least knock down a shot, a three consistently, we know what he is defensively. He is all world, right? So that is excellent for Philadelphia. You have Tobias Harris, and this is the area where they struggle. For what he gets paid, he doesn't perform at that level. Like, he's fine. Like I talked about, can you be a net neutral? That's what he is, Jenna. At estimated plus minus, you know what his number is? 0.0. Which means when he is on the floor, relative to competition, his team doesn't outscore, nor are they outscored by anybody else. They play teams even. Can Tobias Harris be a little bit better than that? If he can consistently, this is a big piece for them. PJ Tucker's great, knocking down threes, playing defense. But Jenna, PJ Tucker's not 25. PJ Tucker is in his late 30s, right? You're depending on old guys. Can Korkmaz refine his three-point shot? Like, these are the different things, right? That Paul Reed, is he someone that could be that when they want to go small and do different things? Like, can Doc get this team to do things slightly differently? Can he change and adapt himself, right? Who is the guy to coalesce and get everybody together? Who is the leader of the 76ers?
Hey, I mean, good question there. Again, I mean, what the Sixers need in the short, I mean, Joel Embiid, don't get injured. role players.
He gets injured, it's over. I mean, let's call it
Yeah,
what it
it's
is.
over. It's over. I mean, hopefully that
And let's
100
not forget
pounds.
they picked up D'Anthony Melton in a trade to this from my Grizzlies. So and Melton's a very good player, very good steals guy, can knock down some threes. So he'll be a nice bench piece for them.
And they picked up what's his name? Daniel House Jr.
Yep.
Didn't he, be
Hmm.
messing around in the bubble there? As long as he
Well, I
stay clean,
mean,
he good.
so for their over under Jenna, I'm gonna go slightly under 50. So 50 and a half is
Okay.
I'm gonna say they're gonna win 50 games this year. Right at 50.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one to watch.
Hmm.
We're gonna teeter on that, I feel like. Man, I hope
Probably.
you're right. I hope you're
Hmm.
right. But let's go to another team that is so exciting that
Hmm.
I'm so pumped to
You're
talk
very
about.
excited.
Oh, you know it. The Cavaliers, they got my guy, DMD Mitch. I mean, so many people allegedly missed out on him in this period, hence the Knicks. We'll get to them. But D Mitch in Cleveland, he's so happy. He's reuniting with Ricky Rubio and teaming up with veteran Kevin Love and
Hmm.
this young core that they've built. We previewed it a little bit last episode. I mean, they have 47.5 on the over under there. What are your thoughts? Talk to me about this exciting Cavaliers team because I really feel like, again, and let's not forget that at All Star, which took place in Cleveland,
Hmm.
most of Cleveland represented
Hmm. Hmm.
All Star, all the challenges.
Darius Garland and Jarrett Allen were all stars. Jenna,
Yeah,
I'm very excited about this Cavaliers team.
elite
So,
pass team.
oh, for sure. So they were number 3 or 2 in adjusted defensive rating last year before Jarrett Allen got injured. Once that happened, that really tanked their playoff success. They did make the play-in tournament, but it was a lot to overcome. With Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell in their backcourt, I love what they do. You have another younger guy, but a young guy with a ton of playoff experience. You have Jarrett Allen. We already said all-star. Evan Mobley. So I was watching Cavs Media Day. Jarrett Allen said something interesting. Somebody asked him about Evan. He goes, "It seems like every time I'm having to guard Evan and like pick up and like when the guys are all together playing, he's scoring on me every time. His offense has improved so much from where it was last year, and it still has so much to go. And if you're doing that against the team's best defender, we already know what Evan Mobley is defensively. If that offensive game comes around, yikes. So you got Garland, Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, and Isaac Okoro is someone who's got to, turn on that 3 and D, right? The defense, can you, continue to make strides there? Can you start knocking down shots, right? He's the one we're looking at. And can he get better defensively? But Jenna, this team, if you're a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, how are you not excited? All your young guys are roughly around. No one's older than 26 in that starting lineup, I want to say. So, I mean, you're ready to rock and roll. The team is young. Kobe Altman, GM said, or president of basketball operations, we have a runway with these guys. And, again, barring an injury, no injuries, and this squad should be good. And you got Karis LeVert, Kevin Love off the bench. And that's how I would do it. I'd go Karis LeVert as your super 6-man. You can even close with him sometimes if you want to get more size out there. I love what this squad is doing, Jenna. I'm gonna go slightly over. I think like Cleveland's gonna flirt with the top 4. They're gonna flirt with it all year. I'm not saying they're gonna definitely make it because it's gonna be tough in the East. They're gonna flirt, but I'm gonna go slightly over 47.5 for the Cavaliers.
Oh, I love it so much. And the thing that impatient people will hate about me right now is that Cleveland has time.
They do.
Like
They do.
looking in the future in a crystal ball in the longevity scale, they have time. Again, everybody wants to be in win now mode, and I get it. The
Hmm.
season's about to be here. It's a long season. You want to win, but they have time.
They do.
They have
They do.
so much talent, so many young guys, as you said. So love that, love that, love that. Let's talk about another team that does have time, in my opinion, and that is the Hawks. Okay.
Do they have time?
Oh, look at you, already getting petty. Already getting petty out here. Okay, I love me some Trey Young. Okay. Um, Listen, this is another team that was a little bit all over the place last season because again, with their injuries and different things that have gone on within their team, I mean, they have a lot of potential. They disappointed me last season. I will
Yeah,
say
they were
last
disappointing.
season they should have made it way further than they did, but we'll get there. But let's talk about it. The addition in DeJounte Murray from the Spurs, I think that's going to be a huge get for them. Again, 45.5 on the over-under scale. But talk to me about this young Hawks team that has, again, so much potential. Trae Young and DeJounte Murray in that backcourt. Come on.
So here's what I like, Jenna, about first let's go back to this. You were disappointed last year with
I
what
was.
with what the Hawks did, as you should have been. And I know I've said it a million times, and I'm going to say it again. After they made their run to the conference finals last year, Trae Young started last season, the beginning of last season, and said, after what we accomplished last year, it's hard to get up for the regular season. Yo, my guy, I hope you learned from last year and you come into this year with different energy, because that ain't it. Okay. You saw how, you just assumed, we'll just get back to the count like we did last year. Nah, bruh, you didn't. Okay. And the East has gotten better. Okay. So this idea of you think you're just going to show up and no. This squad has got to work. Trae has got to get better on the defensive end. Look, I don't need him to become an all NBA defender. He's probably not, because he doesn't have that kind of body and skill set too. You got to stop being a turnstile, my guy. All right. Be a better team defender, know where you're supposed to be, right? And offer some level of resistance. I think DeJounte Murray is going to add some competitiveness to that backcourt, challenge Trae a little bit to be better. You might get Trae off the ball some, which will allow him to have a little more energy on the defensive end. I think John Collins and DeAndre Hunter's going to have to make a big step up this year. Like, he's going to have to be that prototypical 6'8" wing that we think can score 20, that alpha predator wing that every NBA champion has. You need to be that guy. Can he start getting towards that level? We know what John Collins is. You got Capella. Can Onyeka Okongwu, can he emerge out of that shadow, push Clint Capella to be better, right? And inject some more youth, some more scoring out of that 5 position. And Nate McMillan's got to be like, something was off. And again, this is on Trae, I believe, Jenna, to be a better leader than he was. Look, I say this all the time and draw in comparison. And people always like, oh, Sherrod, because you love the Grizzlies. I mean, I do love the Grizzlies. But there is something different about how the Grizzlies players feel about John Morant versus how the Hawks players feel about Trae Young. And if you are the leader of the team, these guys have got to be willing to want to follow you into a foxhole, all the silly analogies and military stupid things that we say. Walk through a wall, go through the fire, all that things, right? Memphis, you see, Ja's their guy. They love him. They embody, all the characteristics that he has. I don't see that from Trae's, from the Hawks. They don't seem to have that vibe. We know about the friction between him and John Collins. I mean, it's been written about a gazillion times. Does the addition of DeJounte Murray change any of that? I think that is interesting. Does he, coming from that Spurs culture, he say, look,
Yeah.
Trae, I hear what you're doing. You demand, this is your thing. Look, I think this would be helpful for us to get to where we want to get to. I'm very curious to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely outstanding point there. I mean, I feel like that's going to be the one glaring thing that everybody's looking for this season. So, again, I hope DeJounte Murray comes in and kind of helps that dynamic between Young and Collins, and we'll see. But again, I mean, here's my thing, like a quick takeaway with the Hawks at this point. I mean, again, we have to see how they play, how they gel together. But when you put Murray and Young in a backcourt like that, if y'all aren't putting up high offensive numbers, like, you're not doing your job. That's it. So, I mean, if that's not going to help you win games, then y'all got a lot more problems than we thought.
Yeah.
So again, we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. But let's move on here. And
I didn't give my prediction. Ooh. I'm gonna go slight over. I'm gonna say they're gonna win 46 games. I'm gonna give them the benefit of doubt, say slight over. But I'm trepidatious about the Hawks right now.
Look at you feeling kind. Feeling kind out here. Jarod's looking real kind today. We'll see how that plays out. But let's move on to the Bulls. They're at a 42.5 over-under rating there. And Bulls are interesting because again, you have the additions in Andre Drummond, Goran Dragic, who, I think that you are a fan of, if, correct me if I'm wrong. And then you have the return of Lonzo Ball after a lengthy
Well,
absence.
no, Jenna. Lonzo, he announced today, like, he is having trouble. He can't run or jump. He's in pain walking up the steps. He's going to have a second procedure on that knee tomorrow. So
I'm
no
done.
Lonzo Ball for the foreseeable future for this team, and that's a big part of their defense, a
I'm
big
done.
key.
I'm done. I'm done.
Look,
Okay.
Look, Zach LaVine's great. DeMar DeRozan, of course, Vooch can score, but we know his limitations defensively. I like Oye Desuna, like a great rookie. Like I just there's something missing. I don't quite know what it is. Can Kobe White take a step up? Can Patrick Williams be, better? Look, 42 wins, I think, is kind of disrespectful. So I'm going to go slide over, but I'm not excited about this Bulls team right now.
I mean, I'm not either after that. I mean, shame on me for not reading the recent news. Sorry,
No,
I'm just
all
coming
good,
off vacation, y'all.
I got you. All good.
But damn, Lonzo.
Yeah.
Thank God they have some pieces, to hopefully compensate. Kobe White, if he doesn't step up this season, that's pretty much it. Why are you drafting him?
Kobe's got to step up. Of course, they have Caruso. Like, look, there are players there, and the Bulls were very good last year. Again, once the injury started hitting them, it all started going downhill. But I look, again, I think 42.5 is disrespectful. I'm going to go slide over, but it's
all right. I like that.
I need to see more.
Heck yeah. We shall see. Again, 3 weeks away from that regular season tip-off. Let's move on to Jarod's favorite team, aka not really. The Knicks. Okay. They're at a disrespectful 39.5.
Is it disrespectful? Under.
I mean, some would say. But I'm with the addition of the superstar and Jalen Brunson from the Mavs.
Wait. Is he a superstar?
That's the thing. You know what I have a problem with? And I'll let you take the floor before I get a little angry out here, because y'all know how I feel about the Knicks. But the fact that, again, no disrespect to Brunson, but they brought this man in like he was the freshest thing since sliced bread. Like, y'all paid this man like he was some type of championship DNA type caliber player. Y'all, that really got me tight. But again, you take the floor before I get real disrespectful out here.
Look,
because I just don't know what we're doing.
Let's Jalen Brunson's a very good player, and he's going to add high character guy. Like, it's going to add another layer of professionalism, a guy that Tibbs is going to love. But here's the problem. Tibbs, listen, man, you got young dudes on this team that we have to know what they are. What is Jericho Sims? What is Emmanuel Quickly? What is oh my God, I'm like forgetting all my guys. Like, who are these young players? What are they going to be? And I feel like Tibbs, this is not a Quentin Grimes. And my guy, Obi Toppin. What are you doing with Cam Reddish? Like, this team has young, talented people, but he gonna tell me out here gonna be grinding Derrick Rose and all these vets into the ground, and I'm just like, oh my God. Julius Randle, are you going to return to your All-NBA form from 2 seasons ago? I doubt it. RJ Barrett, are you going to make the next step up, the leap? At Knicks Content Day, RJ Barrett said the Knicks are going to shock the world. By shock the world, what do you mean exactly?
Thank God he was vague with that.
Like, I don't think you mean championship, because this team ain't doing that. Like, you're not doing that. But I'm going to be positive, Jenna, and say it's disrespectful to put them at 39.5. They'll win 40, 41 games. Look, if RJ makes a leap, and if Tibbs can get out of his own way and allow these young guys a chance to cook and do some different things, I think they got a shot at being, a little bit better, right? And contending maybe for that, 9-8 range. But, again, it's going to be wait and see for me with the Knicks.
Again, prayers up, as you guys can probably tell. we are dwindling down the Eastern Conference list here. So again, let's talk about the Pacers. 23.5 over under rating there. What's going on in Indiana?
Can we say rebuild? I mean, I mean that's yeah.
Fine with me.
I just this is what they're doing, right? I mean, they are rebuilding. We know in the trade, they got Tyrese Halliburton from Sacramento, right? They shipped out my guy Domantas Sabonis, and look, we are on. They got Chris Duarte, Malcolm Brogdon's gone, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's rebuild time, right? Miles Turner,
facts.
Miles Turner are not going to be long for this squad, so I don't know that we need to spend a whole lot of time talking about Indiana. Their over under is 23.5. I'm going to go under at probably win 23, 22 games.
All right, all right. Moving on. Hornets, 36.5 over under rating, and we cannot gloss past the addition of D'Angelo Ball.
Oh, LiAngelo
Oh,
Ball, yeah.
LiAngelo.
Yeah, LaMelo's brother. I mean, signed to a training camp deal. We'll see if he makes the real roster. I doubt it. Look, they have a Miles Bridges problem. We don't know what's happening there. As we know, Miles
Yeah.
Bridges involved in a domestic dispute, a violence
Yep.
dispute, with his wife, I believe.
Yeah.
If not his wife, then certainly the mother of his child. So we don't know what's happening there. LaMelo Ball is excellent. He's gotten better, but that ain't enough. I don't know if Gordon Hayward's going to play multiple games this year. Look, the Hornets are, and the East has gotten better, and they ostensibly, not even ostensibly, they have not. So I'm going to go under for the Hornets.
Yeah, agreed. Couldn't agree more there. Let's talk about the Raptors that continue to, I guess, I don't know, the word that I would use is fluctuate within this conference because, again, they have shining moments, but they also have extremely low moments. And again, I think I may be hanging on to some championship DNA there. But again, 45.5 over under there. What are your thoughts on the Raptors?
Listen, I love Scotty Barnes, and
Right?
I have a feeling he's going to make a leap this year.
Oh, I hope.
And I mean, he was a rookie last year, and he's rookie of the year. But he's going to make another jump, and I think Pascal's going to be all NBA level again this year. Fred VanVleet, his usual self, OG Anunoby. I like this team a lot. They need a backup point guard. My thing with small guys like VanVleet, I'm a little nervous there. So they need some help. But Jenna, look, I'm going over. I think Toronto's going to be up around 47, 48 wins. I really do. They're a very, very good team. We know Nick Nurse can coach. And again, I think Pascal and OG and Scotty are going to have huge, huge years. Look for potentially maybe 3 All-Stars in Toronto. Maybe.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here
folks.
first. You heard it here, folks.
Let's go. And I trust every word that Jarod said. So let's do it.
I could be wrong, but
Rarely. But let's move on. Let's go to Washington, where we have Bradley Beal there. Such an incredible talent, but sadly, we're at 35.5 over under. Jarod.
I mean,
we always talk about this. Our poor boy Beal.
I mean, he ain't poor. He just signed a Supermax extension.
You're right. He ain't poor. What are we saying? He ain't poor.
He's good. So I'm not really worried about him in that way. What are they doing in Washington, right? Kristaps Porzingis, can he regain all-star form? We'll see. He's been off injury prone. Denny Avdia, can he come back and be a plus player for them? Rui Hachimura was out for a lot of last year. Can he be a good player for them? Daniel Gafford. I mean, they got a lot of like sort of parts. Look, if Bradley Beal is an all NBA level guy, and we see some improvements, we'll see, maybe. But as of right now, I don't love what I'm seeing in Washington. I'm gonna be a little bit better than be disrespectful. I'm gonna say an over, but a slight over. 36, 37 wins, somewhere in that range.
All right, all right. Let's talk about the bad boy Pistons, aka not the bad boys no more. 29.5 over under there. What's going on in Detroit?
Uh,
Anything promising?
I love what Detroit's doing. Cade Cunningham's going to be better this year. Sadiq Bey, their
Let's
rookie
go.
Jaden Ivey. Look, I like what they're building in Detroit, Jenna. I really, really do. I'm going to go slide over here. I think Detroit's going to win more than 29 games. They're going to win. They might be in that 35-ish, 36 range. They're going to get frisky and really kind of and give teams. It's not going to be a stop that you're going to fly over and go, all right, like the Pistons, we got, we could take care of them tonight. I'm like, don't count your chickens, my friends.
Not
Don't
mad
count your
about it.
chickens. I
Not.
again, the young guys and Jalen Duren, who they reached down for, love that. They're giving your boy Marvin Bagley a shot. I like what I see there. And and remember, they traded for Bojan Bogdanovic from the Utah Jazz. So you get an adult in the locker room. I'm telling you.
One of your guys.
I like what they're doing.
I love to hear that. Oh, that makes me happy. So much positivity in this dismal part of the Eastern Conference that we are covering. Last but certainly not least, I guess, the Orlando Magic. 26.5 over under rating.
So I mentioned Franz Wagner, who had a hell of a Eurobasket for Germany. Those that don't know, Eurobasket is the European tournament, and he was playing well, really, really well. They have Jalen Suggs. Markel Fultz is out, I believe, to start the season. That's going to be
I
a
just
bit
saw that.
of a problem. They do have Cole Anthony, which I like. Look, Orlando. It's not one of those times where it's like, okay, of course they have Paolo Banchero. Of course, their number one draft pick. So with Banchero, Suggs, Wagner, and Jonathan Isaac is going to come back at some point this season. They have Jenna. I mean, my God, they've been picking in the lottery for the last dozen years. So, I mean, they have young talent. The question is, can they turn it into anything?
Can they execute?
They're not making the playoffs or the play-in, but I'm going to go slide over. They're going to win more than 26 games. I'm going to give them 28, 29 wins. They might even touch 30.
Oh, I love that positivity. Yes, let's go.
It's like the first day of school, right? You got to be positive, all that jazz.
That's it. And, that's all she wrote, folks, for our Eastern Conference preview. Stick with us because y'all know what's next week, that Western Conference preview.
Yeah. Guys, as always, we're part of the Props Network, so you can find us there. Follow us at 7footerspod on Twitter, at 7footerspodcast on Instagram, at JS Hector, at Jenna Lemon Selly. And until next time, everybody, peace.
Spent a couple years out here with these raps, trying to have a plan that we made come true. Applied to some jobs, but I ain't hit back. I don't want to trap. What's a man gonna do? Chevy told me.